PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. If you have a traumatic incident, event, say a car crash, that's quite traumatic, and that could bring on post-traumatic stress disorder. What that can do is make you anxious, have panic attacks. These are not the everyday panic attacks and anxiety. Anxiety you get just before you're getting married, say, and you're all anxious and panicked about that. This is more severe than that. And that can go on for a long time. That can be really traumatising. That can affect your whole life. But complex PTSD, I'm going to read this because
please do.
This helps me to explain it. It involves multiple repetitive chronic stressors. So you're being repeatedly exposed to traumatic stressors, and it's not an isolated incident. And it usually comes from caregivers, those that are meant to care for you when you're growing up.
You mean like your parents, for instance?
Yeah,
or,
whoever
is your carer,
up. And it usually happens at early developmental stages.
What sort of age range is that, Suzie? Is that what, sort of 3 onwards, or below?
Yeah, it can vary really. My incident, my first incident was when I was 2, and then 4 was a very major incident that happened, and there was lots of others. Many things that have happened. I'm not going to go into those, but that of course had an effect on my self-development. It's kind of like they say, it's like being marinated in trauma, and right up until my late 30s, I was still allowing things into my life that were quite traumatic.
I mean, I would imagine many people have given their lives for this, have lost their lives to sort of these sort of things. Is that true, would you say? Would people take their own life, perhaps?
Yeah, I have had several suicide attempts. I've been lucky to be intervened at that time. So what that means is, I think it's 8 stages or 7 stages, Erickson stages of childhood, that we need to go through these stages in our development, and they need to be fulfilled for us to thrive and grow into adults with having all those stages complete and intact, and so that you feel confident, that you go on to do the best of your ability, really. But because my childhood was interrupted on those stages of development, I'm doing things now probably that I should have been doing as a child, like learning to trust. Now, you should always trust your parents, your caregivers. If you feel that you can trust them, then that helps you to build trust in other relationships. If you have no trust, how are you going to begin to trust anybody? And trust is an important part of feeling an okay person.
Absolutely, I agree with you, actually. Yeah, I mean, primarily as a young child, your parents, caregivers, they're everything, aren't they, really? They're the support, they're the strength that you need, and there's, impart their skills on you. So how have you learned to cope with this, Suzie? Because, I mean, obviously a childhood like that must leave many scars.
Well, I was very fortunate in that, in my genetic makeup, I think that's the right word.
That's the right word. Yeah, it's posh, but it is the right word.
Yeah, I had this desire to make a difference, and to survive at my strongest points. There has been times where I haven't wanted to survive, and it all got too tiring. So I've gone to lots of courses, self-development retreats. I've trained as a counsellor. I didn't go into my final year because I realised that's not the area that I wanted to go. It purely was to help myself. I've learnt skills along the way to help me get through the day.
Do you find, I mean, was this a hard process to put into your life, those skills that you've just said there? Did that take a hell of a lot of effort to start saying, right, I feel like, okay, reach to that? Or was it a natural progression? Or did you have to really work hard to just get through that because of what was going upstairs from all the years and the turmoil in your childhood?
It has been really hard, and I'm really tired, if I'm fair, if I'm honest. And I am getting really tired. I'm not young anymore. My natural drive, my determination is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
It always has been.
Yes.
And I've aimed for hitting goals and being the best that I could be. But there comes a point when you just want to go, do you know what? I just want to be happy with who I am. And that's not there yet. And so I'm tired of trying to reach it quicker.
Yeah.
And so it is quite tiring.
So, I mean, you mentioned earlier that you went down the counselling and then sort of worked out that perhaps this is not really what for you.
Oh,
so,
I still have counselling.
Okay.
I have counselling every other week. I had my first counselling when I was at least the age of 7, because interestingly, my doctor's notes we moved a lot.
Yeah.
We had to move away from places very quickly.
See, that's another factor, isn't it? There, you're moving around, so you don't have those roots either, do you? So that's quite a chaotic state to be in, isn't it? Because a child needs the one thing children really need, from what I've seen, and I'm talking from experience of when I went studying on autism, because obviously my son's autistic. The one thing a child needs, they need security. Yeah. They need that, and stability and stuff like that as well. That's one of the things, sorry. It's not the one thing, because kids need a hell of a lot, don't they? But that is a major factor. And if you're moving around a lot, what are you going to get from that? That's not going to help you.
Yeah, I didn't have that at all.
Plus the trauma of,
Yeah, and interestingly, I don't own a property. I've never wanted to own a property. I don't get stuck to bricks and mortar, because I'm a person that loves to just get up and go when I need to get up and go.
That's been your life, isn't it?
Yeah, so those things, it has actually not kind of really thought about that. They call me a social butterfly. Just get up and go. You are very
outgoing, actually, Suzie. I was going to ask you, I mean, you said that you went to study counselling yourself, yeah? Yeah. What, you kind of come to the conclusion that that's perhaps not the best path for you. How did you discover the path you're on now, and what are you doing now?
Okay. Well, I was looking after my late father, actually, which I found very odd that I was doing that. He looked after, this was my 5th father, he looked after my mum up until 2011 when she passed away. Me and my mum didn't have a very good relationship, sadly. And then he became ill just after she passed away. So I made a decision that doing the right thing was to go and care for him. And that's what I did. I looked after him for 4.5 years. My whole life changed. He was an absolutely amazing guy. Probably the best father figure I'd ever had, actually. Yeah. So he taught me a lot, and a lot of changes came from that. He said, what did I want to do with my life? And I said, well, I've always wanted to do singing. So I still try singing, but I don't know. Some people really like my voice, but I'm still not at peace with my voice. Yeah. But I did start songwriting, so and then I wrote my first album that was finished down in Devon with an amazing tutor, and then I came back home to do my university course. So.
How did you find out about the university course?
I googled it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't through their advertising, you sought it out.
Just googled, yeah.
Tell me about your songs. Has that helped you as a person to write things down? Has it helped you to go? Has it helped you to get the feelings out? Has it helped you to get your point across? Tell me what it's done for you doing the songwriting, Suzie.
Yeah, I think it's really important to get one's words heard. I also trained as a spiritual healer for 4 years, 3 different organisations, and the importance of expressing how one feels and what it is they need to say is really important. And if you don't, it can cause problems with your throat. And I had a lot of throat problems. But now I don't have these throat problems, and the throat is to do with your throat chakra.
See, you said about the spiritualism. I remember being told, because I was told years ago that I have a block between my brain and my mouth or my hands. I couldn't express myself. I fully understand that. And then they said about lapis lazuli, is it? There's a gem that can help you with the throat chakra, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of my personal battles have been, again, my mind has been mashed, and I've had to work that out. So to a point, I appreciate the mental struggles people have. Obviously, I don't know the traumas. So, as I say, you've this. What sort of subject do you talk about though in your songs? What sort of issues come to mind that you feel you're passionate about?
Well, one I tend to avoid, funny enough, is love songs. Yeah. I tend to avoid those, but it's just kind of like things that I reflect upon. Mm-hmm. So if I'm reflecting on my childhood, I've got one song that's due out in my album at the end of the year called Sat on the Back Doorstep. And that's me going back as a little child. And it's quite a nice song. Going back as a child, and I had my little bag and my little wrapped up pie, and I was running away. And I got mud on my dress and whatever. So it's kind of like my stories, but in a nice way. I try to make them really positive. But I also do write songs about what I see in lyrics, what I see in other people. Yeah. And those close to me. And they can be quite hard doing those ones. And so it's kind of like, I think, do you know what, other people can relate to that. So that's what I do. And I'm really passionate, of course, about writing, putting words to music by our veterans, because I'm really passionate in supporting our veterans that have PTSD, complex PTSD, because I don't think they get enough help. I've been lucky that I have had the support, but I just don't think there's enough help out there for them.
I agree with you there.
Being able to express their words in a song travels much further than picking up a book and reading it. And it is really therapeutic, and it enables you to feel good about yourself, that you've created something. The people that I have recorded and helped them put their words to music, their look on their face has just been absolutely amazing, and that makes me feel good then. It's like, that's so wonderfully therapeutic.
How big is the community out there? How many are there? A lot of ex-military people out there that are suffering. Are you in touch with a lot of people?
Yes, I am.
Is it something that's growing?
Yeah. Good. There is a lot out there, okay. And we are all trying to get them the help that they need.
You saying that? So I mean, so you're telling me, you've said to me that you're really passionate about that. So what are you going to do in the future? Are you going to tie that in? I mean, where do you go from here, Suzie?
Oh yes, my ultimate goal is, and which is, I had this vision about 15 years ago, was to run creative retreat workshops, and veterans would come to these workshops, be it a week retreat, and explore all different types of creative activities. I think that there's too much analysing. I've done the therapy, I still do the therapy, all behind closed doors. It's all private and confidential. And I just sometimes don't think that's the right way to go. I think we need to express our feelings, share them to the world on a melody, and somebody else to go, I get that. And when somebody gets that, then they can start making changes to help themselves overcome that trapped feeling. But I can also run like hourly one-to-one sessions, Skype sessions, group sessions, but I've got lots of things in the pipeline.
And that's why it's nice to hook up, and that's why it's nice to come across people like you, because you have a clear goal and you're going to get there. You can see you're going where you need to go. It's all developing, it's beautiful, and you will reach a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to love you for it. I admire that. you're giving, Suzie, and it doesn't take a lot, and I think that's beautiful. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen,
can I just say I love you loads, Ian, and thank you so much.
That's
And
all right.
it was been a real pleasure.
That's all right. We can do that again if you want.
Every tone, every single word, mind lies until I don't know where to turn. The slightest change, and my mind is racing. Sometimes the world is just a place I can fit in. PTSD. This is what it means to me. But I see the soldiers who live this way, who'll never show you all the fear they face each day. Isolated, broken minds, scared to tell you of the things they feel inside. What if they could sing it? Let it all out in